He's just like kind of going to wait for there to be absolutely no news at this point. He's going to wait for the NFL draft, wait to see what the Steelers do, and then they'll sign Aaron Rodgers. And maybe he still doesn't know yet. And I feel like, hey, that's okay. If he's still like 80% sure and the Steelers are kind of like, okay, because he's not going to be a long-term solution anyways for you.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah, ultimately, he's going to be there for a year, and then he's retiring. Or maybe they win a playoff game for the first time in a decade, and then maybe he wants to play another year, and that's it. But ultimately, their ceiling is their floor, and their floor is their ceiling, ultimately.
He's waiting to see if J.J. McCarthy's going to get hurt.
Yeah, so they can go to the Vikings. I hope so. I've been begging for that arc.
I think he's going to announce his retirement, and this is how if the NFL is rigged, Aaron Rodgers is going to announce his retirement, and then he's going to wait until week 5, and J.J. McCarthy is going to like break his ankle, and then Aaron Rodgers is going to go sign with Minnesota and come out of retirement. Because if he's going to go to Minnesota, he has to come out of retirement to go there.
Just like what Brett Favre did.
Yeah, he has to retire.
Brett Favre had the biggest psych out of retirements of any player in any sport ever. I mean, this man, it felt like every year he's like, I'm retiring. And then he would just come out of retirement. He's like, I can't do it. I'm playing for the Vikings. I can't do it. I'm playing for the Jets. Like, dude, figure your shit out. But now he's been retired. Yeah, ultimately, I see that arc ultimately with Aaron Rodgers.
Wait, did you just say Brett Favre had the biggest psych out of anyone who retired?
Yeah.
Bigger than Tom Brady?
Bigger than Tom Brady, actually. Tom Brady's...
Bigger than Tom Brady?
The only reason why Tom Brady's is noteworthy is because Adam Schefter's a piece of shit. That's basically it. Adam Schefter reported it. He's like, all right, fuck it. I'll play another year. Fuck you. And then he comes back and he retires. But Brett Favre, for 4 consecutive years, was... Originally, it's, I'm going to retire after the Green Bay Packers want to move on and go to Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to retire. They're like, all right, cool. And then he's like, actually, I want to play. They're like, okay, actually, you're going to the Jets. Then he goes to the Jets, sends his dick to one of the employees. He's like, I'm going to retire. That's crazy. And then they're like, just kidding. You're fine. He's like, all right, I'll come out of retirement. Trade me to the Vikings. And then he goes to the Vikings, makes it to an NFC title game, throws one of the most horrendous picks in NFC title game history. Look it up. This is the year that the Saints won. And then he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to retire. Okay, cool. Bye. And then he comes out of retirement again. Nobody wants him. He's like, okay, I'm going to play college football. And then the following season, he messages the Tennessee Titans, who don't have a quarterback at this time, and he says, hey, let me know if you need anybody. And they're like, thanks, but no thanks. And that's the end of Brett Favre's career. His career was retiring from the Packers, being traded to the Jets, sending a dick pic, going to the Vikings, throwing a pick, retiring, and then basically sending a good night text to the Titans like, hit me up, what you doing? And they say nothing. And that's the history of Brett Favre.
Not another good night text. We don't want any more good night texts.
When no eggplant emoji this time.
I didn't know he sent the dick pic to the Jets employee. Just makes me think of Patrick Bet-David when he was interviewing Anthony Weiner. So, Brett, I'm type of guy who asks you tough question. You're type of guy who send dingle dangle to employee. It's just going off, and it's like on stage in front of a live audience. Like, you send your dick to like underage girls. It's like, I ask tough questions. Like, I didn't know Brett Favre did that too. So, Brett.
Yes. It's going to come out years later that Brett Favre did the same. But maybe instead of a picture of his dick, it's a picture of his ass. I don't know.
And he also had an insurance scandal, too, where he committed fraud, right? Or he was robbing benefits.
Basically reported himself as a small business, even though he made like hundreds of millions of dollars in his pro career. Brett Favre's kind of a piece of shit, but he played good football.
He reported himself as a small business? What does that mean?
Yeah, and he got like tens of millions of dollars in COVID relief money because of it.
So explain to our viewers what that means, like if they don't know, like what reporting yourself as a small business versus just your salary does for you.
Yeah, so reporting yourself as a small business means that you're what it sounds like, a small business. But if you're Brett Favre, who's not a small business, not a small person, not a business, ultimately you're just Brett Favre. When you report yourself as a small business, there's, the federal government gives you money as a small business, but you're both neither small nor a business. So they gave him all this money, and then he ultimately just, did Brett Favre things with it, whatever that looks like. Probably bought a few rattlesnake skins, probably bought some guns, but We don't know. Just basically commit fraud is what he did. So don't commit fraud, kids. That's what that message is.
He bought Bud Light to dump in the river.
Yep, exactly.
That's crazy, though. I didn't realize the way he committed fraud was just reporting himself as a business. Like, yeah, well, I mean, I technically am a business as a person. Like, you are, but at the same time, it's like you're an employee of the NFL. You're an employee of your advertiser. You're not a business. You're not employing anyone. They're employing you. You're not employing the Vikings.
You're employing that one, Brett Favre, and ultimately your legacy gets tainted from that. But nonetheless, the Brett Favre arc is interesting, and so is the Aaron Rodgers arc. But hopefully, we see him go to the Steelers at some point in the near future before the season begins.
Yeah, but we know what Aaron Rodgers is probably up to right now, or in space right now, is probably where his mind's at.